Hello, how you doing? I thought I'd have just a quick squeeze at Lake Timarron, playing from pin 3 and the back tees. Yeah, I played this the other day and thought there's like heaps of really nice looks, and obviously you've taken a lot of time and it's a nice course. There's just a few things that I noticed that really helped me make my courses a bit better. So I thought I'd just do a quick squiz around and show you what I'm talking about, because you can definitely make really good courses based on this, with just sort of fixing up a few things. Bear in mind, like, I'm no authority, or I don't have any, like, I'm just some dude, right? But yeah, I just thought I'd point out a few things that I've seen. So first off the bat here, right, it's a nice view. It looks good, but you just can't see any of these bunkers, or any. You can't really see anything from the tee. You just sort of having blind tee shots is fine. Having fairway traps and blind fairway traps is can be problematical. These ones here, if you see, like with your sculpting, even if you're up close to them, you can't see them because they're sort of on a downslope and they've got a hill in behind them. And again, similar with that one, you're 20 yards away from it and you can't see it just because of the sculpting. Traps on downhill fairways can be quite hard for that reason. You've sort of got to build up the back to get them being visible. But yeah, there's just no golf course in the world that will have traps like that in the fairway, where everything's blind. Excuse my actual golf playing. I'm atrocious at playing this game. And then here, look, I've hit a drive into the fairway 300 odd yards down, and I can't see a thing. And it all comes to sort of how you sculpt and how you sort of look at the course when you're building it. Because obviously you put some nice bunker shapes in, and from this angle it looks really good, but from that angle it just doesn't. You think, okay, we're in a golf video game. Most people are setting up their shots based on this. But what makes a course sort of stand out and work really well is if it looks like a real golf course, I think, in certain ways, and the way that the sculpting and the eye lines sort of work or don't work in this. Is that going to get there? Maybe. I'm not going to go through all of the holes because I don't have a huge amount of time, but there's a lot of that I'd be just repeating myself a lot of the time, and you'll see it's a common feature across most of the holes. And it's a really sort of common issue with newer designers. And I think, yeah, like I said, I'm not very good at playing this game. Okay, second hole. This is better because it's sort of more open and you can see what's going on a bit better. Actually, just hold on one sec. I'm going to turn on. I normally just play almost sort of true sim mode with everything turned off, but I'll turn the aim marker on just so that I can sort of point out some things. This hole is, like I said, isn't bad. This rock though annoys me because if you have a look off the tee, it's just blocking the view of one of those bunkers for no reason. It sort of just clutters the view. But this is a better hole than the first one. Yeah, I want to go down here, don't I? I'll try to talk about the greens as well, because I know you've had a bit of feedback about some of the slopes on the greens and how to. You mentioned something about how to make them. Oh, I'm off. See, that fairway sculpting works well. I pushed that a bit right, and I ended up in a little rough area that goes well. I noticed a lot of the greens are quite good, but there were some where you had some issues with pins on slopes. So I'll see if I haven't played this pin set before, so I'll see how it goes. Not a bad shot. I'm going to talk about this bunker, this Lion's Mouth bunker here, for a couple of reasons. One, you've just taken a circle brush and just whacked it down one hit, which it's not the worst thing in the world, but it just yeah, it looks a bit sort of unnatural. And what you've also done that I noticed throughout the course is just put bunker brushes directly down onto fairways, which leaves this little strip of rough around here. If you spline your fairways around the bunkers, you can sort of get much more natural looking sort of rough bunker edges, and you can sculpt them so that you get the sort of the grassy banks of the bunkers, as opposed to this thin strip that's exactly the same width all around. That just makes them look a bit better. And I'm going to talk about bunkers at the back as well. Bunkers at the back can be quite hard, especially if all the land is falling away, because there is no point on this hole where you can ever see that there's bunkers there behind the green. You don't need to see all the bunkers at the back all the time. There are blind bunkers behind greens in real life for sure, but normally there's some sort of indication that there's something behind there. If it was me on this hole, those two bunkers at the back, I just have a grass rough bank. They don't really add anything to the hole. They're completely blind. Lots of courses don't put many bunkers behind greens because most players don't go into them, and there's no problem just having a grassy bank at the back there. Obviously, that's not always the case, but you just got to be a bit careful with it. Okay, so this hole, right? Have a look at what I can see here from the tee. So I think when you're going around the designer, and like I said, you've obviously put a lot of care and you've created some cool views and some cool holes, but it looks like you've sort of designed from this perspective, right? But always be mindful of what this looks like. This is, in real life, this is what a golfer sees. Your greens, your bunkers, everything is built by a golf course architect based on what an actual golfer sees when he's actually going around the course. And it makes a massive difference to how a course looks in this game for when you're playing it. This doesn't look like a real golf hole. But if you were to just lower those front tee boxes or sort of move them or sort of sculpt it out so that you get more of a view like this, where you can see the front bunkers, you can see the side bunkers, just makes the hole look a hell of a lot better. One other thing I noticed, and you've got sort of lowish lighting and the trees, and it can be pretty hard to do all the time, is there's a lot of like shadows across the green. I think sometimes with taking a bit more care over where you place the trees, especially where the shadows go, can really sort of heighten the visual appeal of these of your courses. Really does make a big difference sometimes, to sort of try to use those shadows productively to sort of highlight the holes. And again, this green's not bad. It's kind of flattish, but you've got a bit of movement. This green's, yeah, fine. Green sculpting is pretty tough and takes time. And when you get you build more courses, you'll try to sort of incorporate the sculpting of the greens into the strategy of the hole a little bit better. Yeah, this is I don't like this central area at all. Sorry, it's this hole's got a few problems, and okay, let's talk through them. One of them is, okay, is this a landing area here? It's actually the fairway of that next hole, right? It's a bit weird that you're sort of providing somewhere to play on a different hole. You've got a really narrow sort of area here. I suppose the play is to always to hit a fairway into this sort of section down here, but there's no layup option at all. That's really tight. That's really tight. Even if you're going down to like a 4-iron, there's just no relief. Again, with these bunkers in the fairway, you can get the sort of surfacing sort of better, but also, I don't know, just having this central mound with these bunkers that take up all of the fairway space just feels a bit weird. And then I don't know if you need that giant rock on the side. Like, I know that it's a rocky sort of up and down, and you want to sort of provide a sort of a bit of a blind, you know, bend it around a corner sort of thing, but it just gets in the way, I think, on this hole. If it wasn't there, and you have a sort of better view of the hole where you can sort of see it a bit more, I think that's a better looking hole than having just that rock in your face. But that's the only play on the hole, so you got all these bunkers everywhere, but there's only one option. Again, that bunker at the back is problematical because there's no indication that it's there at all. Having your green separated from the fairway with this little strip of rough, where there's no reason for it to be separated, is also a bit of an issue. In reality, the fairway would sort of run up to the green. It provides options to bounce balls onto the green, as opposed to this way you have to fly it. With 3-wood, it just cuts down on oh, that's horrible. Cuts down on options, and I suppose hitting shots that you know, hitting a 3-wood that can bounce up onto a green is a fun shot to hit. So I was talking about sort of, there's no issue with just putting a grassy bank at the back of a green, like on the side here. I'm down a grassy bank. It's a really hard shot. You don't need to trick it up anymore. Playing those sort of shots out of the rough can be tough to get close, and that's enough. Yep. So this hole coming back down. You see that front tee box there? If you just drop that down just a few feet, it just opens up. See, that's a better view down the hole than that is, and that's just to do with dropping that front tee box down. And just so you know, play test from these back tees and have a look at what you can actually see from this view, and adjust as necessary. Because yeah, look, obviously that looks a hell of a lot nicer when you can actually see it. And then it's back into this sort of having sort of joined and sort of split fairways. It can be quite tricky and I just don't think that that central, bunker complex quite works. Especially with fairway. I think maybe one of the things that's annoying me is the fairway in the middle here. What's it there for? If you're going to have a sort of bunker complex like that, that would probably be rough in the middle there, I'd imagine. But again, it's quite a tight drive. There's not a huge amount of room, but I'm just going to have to put it down here. Probably go into one of those bunkers. But the sculpting coming off here, it should kick right and put me in a nice spot, which is okay. Yeah. And then again, have a look, right? I've hit a really nice drive, middle of the fairway. Can't see any of the hazards up by the hole. I'm only at a wedge in to a very big green. Some of the sloping on it looks alright. Some of the red areas are maybe a bit too big, so that if you miss, you're going to be a long way off. Or imagine if there's a pin up here. Oh, that's not going to work. I don't know, a pin. If you sort of miss it by a little bit, you're sort of 100 feet off down here. So it's quite aggressive, but around this pin itself is fine. Let's see if this works. Not like that. So having big sort of false fronts or sort of big slopes, oh, that's terrible. Yeah, you got to excuse my actual playing, and I'm obviously watching the course more than thinking about my shots today. But yeah, with the sloping, you just got to be mindful a bit of where a misplaced shot is going to end up, where the slopes are going to take you to, and they don't always need to take you 100 feet away from where the hole is. This is another one, just to do with the sculpting. There's sort of, you can't really see anything from here. There's a whole bunch of bunkers that are completely invisible. Yeah, like I said, there'll be a fair bit of repetition of what I'm saying, but I think it's one of those things that I always found helpful when people pointed out some of these sort of common issues. This green's a bit much. It's with the slopes off it down into directly into the heavy rough. So this pin itself, you got a down slope going into it, and then a down slope behind it into the heavy rough. There's very little margin for error, so it's really, really hard to get that. You're going to fly it and land it here with a lot of backspin to stop it before that one. If you're playing this downwind, how are you possibly ever going to stop that near the hole with those slopes? So yeah, like I said, it's one thing to try to make a course hard, but you don't need to trick it up too much. Offer the shots in, offer a few more sort of helpful slopes, and give opportunities to use the green contours to get yourself, funnel the ball closer to the hole. Use the ground game. Those are sort of more fun shots to play. One thing that I'd say with the lighting that you've used, it looks quite good when the course is in full sun, but with the type of clouds you've used, when a cloud comes over, it gets really dark and it gets really flat. So just be careful of that. I don't like that bunker up there. It's on the fairway with a little strip of fairway behind. If you think like in terms of actual golf course maintenance, why is a guy getting on a lawnmower and mowing that to fairway length in sort of, oh sorry, I've got in that little strip there? I think this hole would play better if that bunker here was moved into the rough area up here, and then you've got this fairway area to aim for. That's really tight. Or if you're going to go something really tight, sort of cut the fairway appropriately. But it sort of seems plonk there. And then I'm just going to mention something about bunker shaping. So obviously, you sort of, people look at bunkers in real courses or in courses in this game and have like the jaggedy edges and little tongues and things that come out all over the place. But those exist in real life courses generally for a reason. They do a few things. They make the bunkers look cool from this perspective, or from this perspective. I mean, they also provide sort of ingress and egress points into the bunkers, and they also provide a bit of, I suppose, randomness to the lie, so that sometimes you hit into a bunker, you might be in the middle of a clear area and have a nice shot, or sometimes you might be in behind a tongue and have to do a more raised shot. But a lot of the time it's just to make the bunkers look cool from this perspective, but have a look, I can't see a thing from this perspective, so why has someone spent so much time cutting these bunker shapes when they're not really visible at all? And the green sizing is, this one's pretty big too. Big greens can work fine. It's just, I don't know, you want to be a bit sort of careful on the sizing. Some of them have seemed good and some of them have seemed a little bit big. Here's another example of just sort of shadows across the green that take away from the visual appeal of the hole. And look, this hole looked really nice with the sun coming down off those trees, off the tee, and it creates a great effect. But just be careful of what that, when you're placing trees to create white effect on one side, you've also got the shadows to think about. So think about how they can be used, especially when you've got, you know, the clouds have gone, so you've got the nice bright sun out, but then it causes those dark shadows that, like I said, can detract from how the hole looks. I'll probably just do 9 holes today. Okay, so this is, I'm glad this hole came up because this, again, you know what I'm going to say. It's blind, right? Off the tee. Where am I going? Sorry, mate. This bunker seems to be cut into the back side of this hill. Bunkers will normally be cut into the front of a hill so that you can see them, so that they're opened up, and you generally won't find a bunker cut into the back side of the hill where the high point is behind the bunker. You know, this is like the high point here, right? So it's even completely blind from 2 yards away. And then you know, you've gone and you've shaped it. You've placed the bunker here to sort of set up your strategy. You want to you're trying to either land it in here, or if you go longer, you want to clear that bunker or fade it through there. That's fine, but just be wary of how the sculpting should complement the hole, and in this case it just creates unnecessary and unintentional blindness. You know, people talk about unintentional blindness. That's what it is. And then, so I didn't hit a great drive, but I'm just off the fairway. Let's get that putter. You've just got this large sort of raised area of the fairway past driver distance. What it does is, I mean, this whole bunker, I didn't even know it was there. And it also just completely blocks the view of the rest of the hole, just with this raised area that's sort of 60 yards ahead of me. And then again, if I just lift up a little bit, you can create that view of the hole just by dropping down that sculpting in front. Now, again, you've got a detached green. This one's not as bad because that's quite a narrow little thing, and you've got a fronting bunker protecting it. So I suppose there is a reason for that fairway to be detached there. Again, it does sort of cut down on options on ways to get the ball to the hole, but I'm laying up anyway. And then, yeah, so that bunker's blind from everywhere. You've got this hillside here, this like little hill here, even from really close, no idea that it's there. And then we've spoken about back bunkers and sort of how they work. There was a course I played the other day that had some really good bunkers behind the green. Try to remember the name of that course. It was sort of an Oakmont inspired thing, and it had lots of bunkers all around the green, including at the back. A lot of them you couldn't see, but you knew that they were there because of how the land is sort of sculpted. So you could see movement of the land behind that indicated that there was trouble there, even if you couldn't see it directly. The name of the course I played was Elmont, so give that a go and have a look at sort of how the bunker sculpting works, because those bunkers they're excellent. This hole just has a raise here, which blocks the view. You just drop that down a little bit, and then instead of sort of obscured, obviously you can't see it, but if it was less obscured, it's a nicer hole. This hole works quite well. It's a split fairway. You've got options. There's enough room to go either side. You've done that splined. You've splined around this central trap, so that's better. It looks better, looks more natural, but just think about the consistency. I thought that I was going to either be going here or here, but actually with the driver I just blast over it. So from a strategy point of view, I suppose there's not a huge amount of oh, I see, with the tree there. Yeah, it's not a bad. This is probably the best hole so far. Hit the tree. That's alright. The previous time I played it, I hit a nice drive sort of up to here, and thought it was this front bunker here, just with a bit of sculpting, you can make that visible. It's being blocked out by the plants, but yeah, you can do that better. Again, you don't need to detach that fairway there. That should all be joined up. Yeah, so just few little things like that. It's just something to think about when you're sort of designing, and the perspective and the views that you look at to when you're sort of sculpting and placing hazards, and have a look at what a real life golfer would see, as opposed to what a scout cam would see. Yeah, and I think it because okay, I'll just do one more hole. I think you know what I'm going to say here. You've just got this heavy rough raised area just here that just blocks the entire hole, and that's just from being a bit more careful about what the driver sees from here. Look at that. That's a better view, isn't it? That's a better hole than that. Cool. I'm gonna end it there because, like I said, I'm not going to. I don't want to keep on repeating myself. I'm going to finish out the round and sort of enjoy the course, but I'll leave it there. And yeah, like I said, heaps of good stuff. The planting, the vibe of the course is really cool. A few little things, and you can make better courses for sure. Yeah, so good luck with it, and I hope that has been helpful. Thanks, mate.